Holy smokes, we are back. I'm in my Christmas red outfit here. And guys, we're kicking it back off. Welcome to the Eden Army podcast. I am your host tonight, Pete Robertucci. We do this podcast every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, please, to like, share, subscribe. We'll see Russ here in the second half here. And also, Paulie Ham can't make it tonight. So don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Speaking of subscriptions, thank you, Opie, Matthew, Tom, Mama Gnome, Dan, and Joe Niemeyer for resubscribing this month. If you haven't read or at least listened to Joe's new book, The Earth Exhaled, you're missing out. This is easily Mr. Niermeyer's best post-apocalyptic book he's put out to date. So let's get some stuff out of the way real quick. We will be appearing at the Riverfest Seafood Festival in Ormond Beach this upcoming weekend. We're expecting 17,000 people in attendance. So we'll be there kissing babies, pimping out our books, and smacking asses because that's just what we do, right? So very cool. Let's also get some other notifications out of the way. We're scheduling a covert entry class with West Hightower and Rally Point here in Florida. And it looks like that's going to take place in the first weekend of February. We haven't actually nailed it down yet, but it looks like the first weekend of February before race week, right? And if you sign up prior to the end of the year, you're going to get a 25% discount code from your friends here at the Eden Army. So message me if you're interested in doing that. It's a 3-day class, goes through all of his lock picking and covert entry stuff. So message me if you're interested in that. Also, guys, do not forget Battlefield Birchwood is now out on Audible. So pick that up, please, along with the Wyoming Falls, the first one. Tonight, look, I'm not too prepared tonight. Had a lot going on this week. We're doing a lot of stuff. We're cleaning out the RV. We're trying to get this damn garage built. Turtles suck. I just tell you that right now. We have to get some turtles removed. Go for tortoises, I should say. And that's going to cost an arm and a leg. So they suck. People are texting me in the middle. Let's see who this is. I'm just curious. I got to see who this is. Let's see which window licker is actually texting me. Oh, Will. There, here you go. Will, message me. You don't have to message me during the podcast, but I'll give you a discount code to get you signed up at the Rally Point website. But anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about this week's solar flares, the CMEs, right? Were you ready for them? Did you do anything different? Was it a bust? I don't know. We're also going to talk about the Associated Press actually comes clean about their reporting on Hamas. Liberals are causing a fight at a Turning Point USA rally in California. And wow, imagine this. Somehow the Democrats leaked an Epstein email that supposedly implicates Trump. Timing? I don't know. We'll talk about that and what I think about that. Also, your prep of the week and my prep of the week. But first, let's check out some shenanigans over there at CanCon last week. No, Patrick, I didn't have a bunch of stuff about us bumbling around and stuff like that. I actually threw on a audio track so people didn't have to hear that. Russ, what's going on, brother? Good to see you.
Man, finally made it home. First time in over 5 months. I'm sitting in Casa de Sawyer
Outstanding,
with
outstanding.
phenomenal fiber Wi-Fi. So hopefully I won't go like it
Yeah, he
tonight.
won't freeze frame. He's got fiber there at the homestead. That's awesome. God, Kick is blowing up.
They are, man. They
We got
are.
a whole bunch of people, too many to actually call out by
It,
name. But I see Tom Bryce just showed up.
yeah,
Hobby's there.
it's
Uh,
all the usual suspects.
all the riffraff that we love to hang out with, right? Oh boy, what'd you think of CanCon, Russ?
Man, I enjoyed it. I really did. I didn't get to go out and shoot. Being my first industry event, I wanted to kind of stay close to the booth. I sold out, so that's always a plus, and had a good time. I was a little under the weather. I had a bad tooth bothering me, but it's feeling much better now. I was kind of miserable the whole week, but other than that, Teresa had a blast. She got to shoot several things that she enjoys shooting, and uh, it is what it is. Time to get back in the saddle, finish working on book 2, and Audible is better than halfway done. My narrator had another surgery this morning, but he came through it fine. He should be back in the saddle as well on Friday. He's starting to record.
Oh,
So
perfect. Tom, I don't know if you saw it or not, but we have nailed down a time for that Rally Point class here in Daytona Beach, Florida. It looks like it's going to be the first weekend in February, and I've got a discount code. So message me if you and your daughter are interested in attending. Also, if you want to take that 3-day class and then come by the house and do a little bit of range time, we can certainly address that also for both you
absolutely.
and your daughter. So very
And
cool stuff.
speaking of, I noticed. I think it was Will said he hopes to attend next year. CanCon Carolinas 2026 next year is the weekend after Mountain Readiness in May.
Yeah, so there you go. Stay a couple days at
So
Mountain Readiness
yeah,
and make your way down to South Carolina. It's a 2-hour trip plus or minus,
yeah,
and
2.5
it'll be
wasn't
good.
terrible.
Yeah, so perfect, Tom. So get with me, and we'll get you that discount code, and we'll fill that class up. He needs a minimum of 12 guys, but he's not taking any more than 24. And we're going to do that right here at Volusia Top Gun. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's an
Oh yeah.
indoor range, has a restaurant in there, they have classrooms set up, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, we're coming to the close of 25, and it's been a pretty busy year for us. 2026 is shaped up to be even busier as far as events go. We have now the Class of West down there in February. We have Mountain Readiness in May, first weekend in May, and then followed up by CanCon. Mountain Readiness Montana, July 24th to 26th up in Big Fork in that area at Camp Ponderosa. And where else are we going? Then we're going back down to Fallout for the Sovereign Health Summit, which is the 27th of October to the 31st of October, followed by Fallout the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of November is the way it's planned out thus far.
Correct. And then Susie's asking about any EA events. We don't have any scheduled right now. So I'm kind of up in the air about that. We're maybe a little bit, it's to be determined, and maybe we'll give you a notification here next week on whether or not we're going to do an EA Angry American get together over there at Angry's place. I'll hold his feet to the fire on that one and see
Yep,
what
absolutely.
happens. Tom Bryce said he's already stocking up on wood for double double. Well,
That
here's the
was
deal.
tremendous.
Yeah, well, here's the deal with that double double. First of all, we are not wasting any more on Patrick 7. That was
No,
a waste. He doesn't get any. He's gonna get the bottom shelf whiskey because he's just gonna make him sick anyway because he's a lightweight. So he's
absolutely.
not getting any. Um, Russ, I didn't have much time to dive into the news, but what I do want to talk about is this weird coincidence that the Democrats leaked an Epstein email that they think implicated Trump into this whole Epstein thing. I'm going to play this clip, Russ, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it, and you tell me what you think about all that stuff. Here we go.
Absolutely.
The president and his team are questioning the timing of the new Epstein emails that were released earlier today by Democrats. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey has that part of the story for us tonight. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, John. Officials here are claiming that if congressional Democrats really cared about advocating for Jeffrey Epstein's victims, then we would have heard a lot more from congressional Democrats about Jeffrey Epstein during the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. And instead, we are seeing these big leaks like the one today, selectively, according to the White House, that claims that Donald Trump knew in 2011 about Epstein's crimes.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
The president himself muses the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap.
When Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump.
White House officials would much rather talk about their hope that the House will soon vote to reopen the government.
There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government.
So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk. First of all, let's go back in history, right? You got to think of everything. I say this time and time again. Think of everything in totality, right? When all this came out, Trump had said, "Yeah, I found out that Epstein was a creep, and then I banished him from Mar-a-Lago." Right? So that's not, Russ. That's not a secret, right?
Nope.
So now the latest email says they were all together at a point where there was a victim there in around them. Not that he had done anything, but there was a victim at the party or at the wherever they were hanging out. Probably the time he found out Epstein was a friggin' pedo, right? So this is not news. This is the only reason this came out right now is simply because the Democrats are polling very badly on this shutdown. People are seeing it's their fault all along, and now they're trying to divert attention away from that. So that's my take on it. Guys in chat, if you've got something else you think, Russ, what do you think?
Man, I 100% agree with you, man. The timing is just, they obviously, is they don't talk about all of the 41 million people that lost some of their SNAP for this month are no longer, they don't care about them no more. Now they're just back to their normal talking point of, orange man bad. And talking about the 41 million people that lost their SNAP, Sue last night on Chris's podcast put up an interesting figure. Over 43 million Americans have served in the United States military. That includes over 1 million of the Confederacy since this nation was formed. 43 million. And now we have 41 million that needed SNAP and lost SNAP. It's just amazing. That number is so coincidental as far as, back before Obama changed the rules on SNAP, 10 million people. 10 million people who were on SNAP.
So
and
Melissa,
then they changed the rules.
Right.
And now we had 41 million.
Well, Melissa posted something today on Facebook or whatever saying how do we stop this entitlement, basically just ripping off the taxpayers with these entitlements, these SNAP and these EBT benefits, right? Well, one way to stop the abuse of it is to put a time limit on it, Miss Melissa. Look, if you can't get your shit together between 5 and 10 years, I'm sorry, you're a useless piece of crap and you need to
Yep.
go. Also, we need to stop incentivizing these out of wedlock parents from having more kids because they get paid more every month on these
Hmm.
EBT and SNAP benefits, right?
Exactly.
People are making a career. They've become baby mills at the behest
Yeah.
of the taxpayers.
Yeah. No, I do not agree with doing what China did, limiting the children. But,
No, that was
they can
population
have it.
control. That was
But
population control.
they can have as many kids as they want, but they don't get paid for all of them. That's just and that's where there needs to be a cutoff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Drug testing, or I love that. I love the drug testing. Here's the thing: what the federal government was trying to do with that, though, they were putting drug testing was going to cost the actual states to have that done, so they never really ended up getting that passed. But how much money would the federal government actually pay or save if they paid for the drug testing, and then these people bumped off of it, right?
Oh,
Uh,
exactly.
Egghead says he recommends reading the independent journalism from the Drop Site News and Breaking Points. They're doing very good. Well, there you go, guys. Look that up.
Write that down.
Yeah, Patrick, that's exactly what I just said. It's going to end up being cheaper for the feds to pay for the drug testing rather than the states to do it, right? Will, as far as Doge, as far as I know, it's still going. Here's another thing that I want to talk about. Trump is talking about with this excess tariff money that we're bringing in to give each citizen $2,000. I'm 100% opposed to that. 100%. We need to pay down our $34 trillion debt with that money, and we don't need to give everybody $2,000. Yes, I get it, right? I would like to have $2,000 in my pocket right now, but I'd also like to have this debt paid down so my daughter doesn't have to pay it when I'm long gone, and my grandchildren don't have to pay it when we're long gone. My opinion only.
Oh, yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah, and Will, you're right. They saying, look, 20 hours a week. If you want to receive SNAP or you volunteer, they say, oh, I don't have daycare. Okay, you volunteer in a daycare center then, and you bring your damn kids in there. It's all bullshit. It's a scam, and we've been getting abused, and we've been getting these taxes shoved up our ass because of these people that won't get off their fat asses and go work. Look, some people need it. I get it. I understand, but at some point we got to stop being a society that actually promotes people being lazy and become a society like the greatest generation, right? That the World War II generation that busted their ass and went to work every day regardless of what's going on. Oh, my back hurts. I'm too fat. My knees hurt. Well, guess what? Your knees hurt because you're carrying around an extra person on your 400-pound friggin' frame.
Yeah.
And that's probably why your knees are hurting. Go to work.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the greatest generation, and I saw a Facebook meme today. 85 years ago, or however many years ago it was, we had 16-year-olds and younger that had the balls to go and fight for the country. Now we have 16-year-olds that are afraid of their balls.
Yeah, and a lot of that's because we coddle them. We coddle them and tell them it's all right to. But anyway, is what it is. What's up, Matthew King? Good to see you, brother. Patrick Seven says 35% of our government is a social. Yeah, well, of the government is a socialist program. 100%. I agree. But let's move on. Go ahead. I can get on my soapbox about all this and bash our socialist government for another hour or two, but I'm not going to do that. Let's get to the news and try to stay somewhat on track. In California, Russ, at a Turning Point USA event, it appears that Antifa, the group that's just an idea, Joe Biden, they're not real. Antifa decided that they were going to continue their violence during an event, and a sold out event, by the way. And actually, let's see. I think I got a clip. Let me show you guys this real quick.
General for Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. Harmeet, first of all, it's fantastic to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us. UC Berkeley has condemned the violence, promises to take appropriate measures, I guess, against those who violated campus rules. But is that enough?
Well, Laura, thanks for having me so much. It's a pleasure to be here. This feels to me like deja vu all over again. I think it was like 8 years ago that I came on your show and talked about suing UC Berkeley for exactly this type of violent chaos that happened on the campus. And at that time, Berkeley was preventing conservative groups from having conservative speakers and then exposing them, if anyone ever came, to this type of violence. I sued them. I won a settlement, and Berkeley agreed to protect the guests of conservative speakers. And yet here we are. They seem, as Savannah mentioned, to be completely unprepared. The Berkeley, local police as well seem to be unprepared, undermanned. They treat it as if it's a both sides problem. It is not a both sides problem. When a violent mob like Antifa comes and attacks like this, it's what we call a heckler's veto in First Amendment jurisprudence. And given the fact that there has now been a terrorist designation here, the Joint Terrorism Task Force is going to be looking into this together with the DOJ, my Civil Rights Division, and the FBI, and understand what happened here. How did it come to be the case that when Berkeley has noticed that this type of violence occurs on the campus when conservative speakers come to speak, and by Rob Schneider had been scheduled to speak, it was a sold-out crowd of 2,000 people, and less than 1,000 people were there in the stadium because people were intimidated by this violence. So this is not a consequence-free situation. Berkeley has announced, oh, we're so happy that 1,000 people came to hear this. That is not the whole story. The story is that when Sonia Sotomayor comes to speak, when the Dalai Lama comes to speak, the Berkeley campus somehow is able to protect the speaker and all of the people who attend. And when it's a conservative speaker, it isn't. So we have some serious questions and concerns about this, and there'll be a full federal investigation. We've already sent 2 letters to Berkeley and to the police to preserve their documents so we understand how we came to this horrific situation to make sure it never happens again at UC
So
Berkeley.
what particular statutes are potentially triggered here? The terrorist designation for Antifa, but is it this? So this would be a civil rights, could be a civil rights conspiracy action? Conspiracy to violate civil rights?
Absolutely. It could be 18, 241, 242. We also have hate crime statutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, this was the importance of designating Antifa a terrorist organization, because now we can start charging these people for hate crimes and stuff like that. But this just goes to show you how insane leftists are. This is literally a peaceful gathering, and these people, all they do is they resort to violence. No plan, just violence, and they're being paid. So find Trump, DOJ, find the money trail.
Follow the money.
And hem these people up. You know what? It's over. Egghead, I don't know why it says offline. Try to get back on. Just go ahead and update or whatever.
And USC Berkeley, back in the 60s, it was the hotbed for protests, especially the anti-war protests. And their thing was all about free speech, is why they allowed it. But now they're not allowing it. That video that you just posted showed the fact that they, as long as you agree with their politics, they will more than happy submit you, let you in and have crowds and everything else and protect you. But if you go against what they believe, then they're not going to protect you. And it's just amazing about that. And there were people that were trying to go into the ticket sales office for the interior portion and buying, like, they wouldn't buy all 500 tickets, which would have, these were Antifa folks that were trying to do it. So nobody would show up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, let them sell tickets. It's all going to be televised. It's all going to be on the websites anyway. And that's where we get all of our news nowadays anyway. That's where we get it. We're watching podcasts. We're watching stuff like that. Patrick 7, you did bring up a good point here. Eric Swalwell, the one that was banging a Chinese spy, has been probed by the DOJ for mortgage fraud, and it couldn't have happened to a better person. I hope they find him guilty, and I hope he spends time in a federal prison, because he's a piece of crap.
Well, I hope he gets arrested and gets indicted, and I hope he turns, because if he turns, then Newsom will go down.
Exactly. Looks like Egghead went ahead to YouTube. Okay, well, you see us there. That's as long as you're seeing us, Egghead. That's good. Let's see. Will, hey, let's just have an Islamic call for prayer 5 times a day. And ground zero. It's all good. Not okay. Jay says,
Swallow needs an anal probe. Yeah.
look, there's no doubt that a guy like that probably likes getting pegged anyway. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming that. I'm not sure. That's my opinion only. But so yeah, left doing what the leftists do. They've got no plan. All they want to do is uh, go back to violence, go back to their roots, go back to what they were founded on, and that's what we're going to continue to see. If only somebody would have said that once Trump got elected, that these leftists would start showing their asses.
Yeah.
But
So who do you think? Where do you think the money's coming from?
well, I think it's coming.
Pete's personal opinion.
My personal opinion, it's coming from these NGOs that we've been paying for, right? These DEI type of NGOs, these equity type of NGOs that, and then also, of course, you've got foundations run by people like the Soros family and stuff like that. I think the money's coming in there. Not to mention, I think there's money coming in from China. I think there's money coming in from Russia. I think there's money coming in from countries that want to sow hate and divide this country. It's in their playbook.
Venezuela.
They told
Oh,
us
yeah.
what they were going to do. They're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. This is no secret.
Nope.
Follow the money, and you will certainly start hemming people up. But yeah, go ahead and indict that guy, Swalwell, and see if he starts singing. I don't think he will. I think he's too stupid. Just let him do his time. But we'll see. He'll call it political retribution or whatever. It's all I mean, and maybe it is. Hell, I don't know. But here's the deal: you're not going to be charged with something if you didn't do something. Now, is Trump and his DOJ digging in to all of his political adversaries, or is he digging in and looking to some of the things they might have? Absolutely, and rightfully so. They've crucified this man for the last 10 years. Yeah, dig in and see what the hell they've got. What dirt do they have? What skeletons do they have in their closets? And I don't call that political retribution. I call that rule of law.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the Democratic Party, as we knew it, is in the midst of a civil war. That's no other way to put it. Especially the politicians. They're starting to eat their own. You know, they were not happy with the 6 that crossed. They're not happy with Fetterman. You know, and it's going to get uglier before it gets ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be bad. And you know, I was talking to some people over at CanCon, and unpopular opinion, but they feel that America's gone too far, and there's just no coming back from it. It's just it's not, and it's right that our society is starting to degrade, and we're starting to be pitted against our neighbors, right? You know, it's just like the post-apocalyptic books we talk about, neighbor against neighbor, right? Sooner or later, it's going to happen. We're starting to see that a more polarization of the left and the right. And I'll be honest with you, after seeing what I've seen in the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, after seeing what they've done to MAGA voters, after seeing what they've done to peaceful people who only wanted to have a dialogue, I've got no sympathy for them. They are not human to me. They are 100% the enemy. Do not care. And that's just the way it is until they prove to me something different. But I'm you know, they say sooner or later, they're going to say, why did this right-wing kid get so radicalized? And I can tell you where he got radicalized. He got radicalized in Butler, Pennsylvania, when they tried to assassinate Trump. He got radicalized in South Florida when they tried again to kill Trump. And this right-wing kid that they're going to be talking about in the news here soon, hopefully not, but he got radicalized when he watched a bullet go through Charlie Kirk's neck. Right? That's how he got radicalized. So it's not propaganda that radicalized him. It's the act of our enemy that radicalized these people, these warriors that are going to be coming forth. So I don't want to hear about it. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. You know, I was never one that followed politics for years, and until this guy got me on his podcast, and had started doing research. But it blows my mind the direction this country is headed, and I hope we're going to be able to turn it around. I do, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't look, nobody wants that civil war, right? People don't understand what comes along with that, but I don't know what else it's going to come to unless the left, because here's the deal. Even the we'll call them the sane leadership of the left, they're right now being pushed out by the radical left. Even scumbag Schumer, the only reason he wasn't making the right decision with this friggin' shutdown was because he was afraid of being primaried by AOC.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting to see those radical leftists are taking control of the Democrat. The Democratic Party's done. They're done unless you get an articulate, normal person to stand up there. And Fetterman is surprisingly that guy, which I don't quite understand, but he's surprisingly that guy, and they will get rid of him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going to get rid of him. He'll be primaried out.
Oh yeah, and if you look at the listing, which is pretty long, of possible Democratic contenders in 28, there's not one on there that fits that bill.
No, there's not, and there won't be. Maybe a younger generation, but we'll see. I don't know. But let's stop getting serious real quick, and let's get something a little bit lighthearted here.
This is called the End the Shutdown Bill. In this bill, we finally recognize that Democrats are worthless pieces of shit with no plan whatsoever, and they should all be thankful you're not deporting them back to Retardistan.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed. Okay?
Well, thank God. That's an executive order.
That's my new favorite word.
I can get behind. That's an executive order I can get behind there, Mr. President. Send them all back to Retardistan. That's what I say. There goes TikTok.
Yeah. There goes TikTok.
So Javi liked that one. Patrick liked that one. Matt. Matt.
Oh, yeah.
It was good seeing you at CanCon, Mr. Matthew King. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
Absolutely. And he wasn't working. He was actually enjoying his time out there, having a blast. We had a good time there. We really did.
Yeah. We made some good contacts, right? That's always
absolutely
good. You have to call them. Patrick says I have to call liberals waterheads or window lickers. That's one of my go-tos instead of retards to confuse the censors. I agree. Yeah, Patrick says, Matt, it was good seeing you, and it was awesome seeing that you didn't actually have to work and empty garbage and be run around like a slave by T. That was nice. So very, very cool. Yeah. What else is going on, Russ? Let's see what else. I talked about my garage, how screwed up that was going to be.
Yep. Damn gopher turtles.
Melissa's mad at me always. I do have Brianna's new boy is going to come into town on Tuesday. He's a Wisconsin boy, baby girl's new boyfriend, I guess. So we get to show him around the Daytona Beach area. So that'll be kind of
pretty nice young man. Pretty nice young man.
They're all nice when they first meet the dad. They're all nice.
But the hole's dug, so.
I did not talk about that. I saw that just before, Patrick. I saw that just before I came on the air. So I mean, basically, it's what we're already doing, right? We're blowing up narco terrorists, and now it looks like we're going to. Now I don't know if that's going to end. If that means we're going to do something in addition to that, in addition to securing the southern border, I don't know the answer to that. But it will be interesting to see what his game plan is there. So
Yeah.
what else? Patrick says, whoops. Some of my Navy buddies and said stuff are ramping up on their end. They can't, yeah, and I mean they're all. It's going to get ugly, and Venezuela's in the crosshairs. But I saw their missile defense system that they were lining up on the beach, and look, I don't think we have a chance, guys. I think
You know, lining up their missile defenses on the beach.
in a nice straight line, a perfect
Nice straight line.
perfect strafing line
You
for
know,
an A-10.
The Iraqis tried that. Didn't end up too well from them.
No, I saw the highway of death.
Yeah. Dead Sheep Highway is what it was called in Kuwait, which was the road out of the Kuwait into Iraq, coming from Camp Doha. And there's a place in there, at least it was back in the 2000s when I was there, that had all of these Iraqi, tanks blown up, pushed off to the side of the road. A lot of them were abandoned and got blown in place. Artillery pieces, the whole 9 yards, just lines this entire highway.
Yeah, just for miles and miles and miles.
Miles and miles and miles.
Chrissy, we definitely plan on doing that. What you're talking about there in chat, we definitely plan on doing that. Well, and actually, we might end up doing that tomorrow night. I've got to go set up tomorrow morning out at the Seafood Fest, and then the rest of the day, I have a couple things to do. But we might. Baby girl wants to go. Well, she had been wanting to go every Friday night to that place. So, yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Egghead. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Actually, we talked about that last week. You missed it. And it all, in my opinion, it has more to do. It doesn't just have to do with the narco terrorism that's going on. It also has to do with the 2011 secret summit that Venezuela had with Hamas, with the Palestinian Authority, and a bunch of other terrorist groups to promote Islam extremists here in our hemisphere. So I think it's a dual-edged thing. I think not only is it narco terrorism, I think it also has to do with the terrorists at Venezuela and the mentally ill people from Venezuela, the criminals from Venezuela that they sent over the southern border. I think there's a little bit of time now for retribution for that. Let's see. Somebody else is texting me. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Who cares? Very cool. Yeah, there you go. Exactly what I just said right there.
Yeah,
it has to do not just and I'm not even really concerned about the oil, the foreign influence. I get that a little bit, the Chinese influence, the Russian influence. I think it has more to do with the terrorists and the ideology that Venezuela has for this hemisphere, I think. Yeah, he was egghead. He was it wasn't that, it might be 2018. I thought it was 2011. Thought it actually happened in 2010 and was reported in 2011, but I'd have to go back in my notes and look at that. I don't think, let's see what Patrick says here. Guys, I'm just running through chat because I didn't have too much time.
I don't think we want. I think we want to keep them from making money with the war and give the war to foreign influence.
Yeah, I mean, could happen. I mean, I don't know, Patrick. I think Trump, as far as oil moving, I think he's more concerned with Russian oil moving other than Venezuelan oil moving.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think, and Egghead then asked, he asked, why the wait if that's the reason? I think, and we've discussed this before, in Trump's first term, he was listening to a lot of the wrong people, and he was trying to play. He ended up getting caught up in the game, and instead of just doing. He's not doing that. He's doing now. He's not caught up in the game anymore.
Yeah, and I think now Egghead is because he's not worried about re-election at this point, right? It's all about politics. And it's all about power at the end of the day, regardless of what side of the aisle you're talking about. I think he's not worried about re-election, and I think what we're seeing come across the southern border from Venezuela during the Biden administration is playing into a lot of the animosity toward Venezuela right now, in my opinion. Now, I don't have any facts on that, but that's what if I was sitting in that position and I see the people that Venezuela sent in during the Biden administration, I would say, look, these guys are 100%. This is not rhetoric anymore. This is not hearsay. They are 100% now trying to overthrow the United States and actually put boots on the ground, which is what Venezuela did with that open border policy.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I'm not, and again, I haven't looked into it too much. I know that in the last podcast I kind of dove into it because I had completely forgot that they had that secret conference until I started diving in. Look, why is Venezuela important? It's not, yes, narco terrorism. I get that, but there's got to be more to it. And oil might have a little bit to play, but at the end of the day, I think Trump is taking care of the oil with tariffs. If you're bringing in oil from Russia or Venezuela or something like that, then he's going to raise your tariffs up to 100%. I think he's dealing with that, and the Supreme Court is looking to rule if he even has the authority to levy tariffs, which I don't quite understand, to levy tariffs, especially when it comes to a national security interest in a case like this or in a case like Russia. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to find that case. Hopefully they'll say, look, he has the authority to do it, because it certainly is the biggest tool in his toolbox right now to combat Russia and some of these other nations that wish us harm. Let's see what... Yeah, but Mexico is worse because they got to come through Mexico to get here, but they're not 100% Mexican people that are coming over the border. What we're seeing from Venezuela was they emptied out their prison, they emptied out their insane asylums, and they sent these terrorists over the border. Yes, did they come through Mexico? 100%. They came through Mexico, but they've made a concerted effort to send all their criminals, all their gang members, to empty out their jails, and all the people that were in their insane asylums. They made a concerted effort to send them across that southern border, and I don't think there's any disputing that. That's a fact. That's my opinion, Egghead. But I like the question, and I like the way you make me think.
Yeah, and Patrick made a good point. They don't want it right on our border. So if we can strengthen Mexico's southern border by some kind of dope deal or whatever the heck they're going to do, that's a whole lot more real estate before they get a chance to get to us.
Well, and here's the deal with asylum that people don't understand. So say I want to leave Venezuela because I'm seeking asylum. That doesn't mean you bypass 4 other countries to seek asylum. The only reason they're bypassing all these other countries, first of all, is our entitlement program. Right, the welfare, the checks and the cell phones and the health insurance that we give these illegal immigrants. Otherwise, you can't seek asylum, in my opinion, when you bypass 4 other countries to get here to the United States. You're leaving your country under concern for your well-being. Right? Maybe it's a war zone. Maybe maybe the gang members are coming after your family because you won't join them. But that you just cross the border into the next country to seek asylum. You don't bypass 4 or 5 other countries just to get to the United States. And the reason they do it is because of our back ass woods entitlement program that the Biden administration and every administration before that gives these illegal immigrants. Now, they all talk tough, AK. They all say, look, if you're an illegal here, you're not getting health care. All of them did it. Trump did it. George Bush did it. Clinton did it. Obama did it. All of a sudden, but they only get sound snippets of actually Trump saying these things, right? So, Patrick says, more coke. Patrick, I don't know how you know this, but okay. More cocaine's coming out of Venezuela in history. And here's the deal. Here's the deal with this. Weed and cocaine, never been a real issue. Yeah, we had the war on drugs. I get it. That's all. What the real issue right now is fentanyl, right? This is what's killing people. Look, cocaine for the most part, yeah, you're gonna. It's bad. Crack was bad. All that stuff is bad. But the problem is this fentanyl that's being laced in the weed now, in the cocaine, in the heroin. is killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. I've seen it. I've Narcaned people every single shift when I was at the fire department because they did their little pot of heroin, their little shoot up of heroin, and didn't understand that there was fentanyl in it. I've seen it. So I think that's why that's really on the bullseye right now, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just reading chat, guys.
Oh yeah.
And we're seeing this, Patrick. Patrick's always got great points. We're seeing this with states now legalizing weed, right? Some states even legalizing and handing out needles so people can do heroin. California, right? You're desensitizing to these gateway drugs. And look, if you do weed or whatever, you're a grown ass person. If you do crack, whatever, I don't care, right? The problem is we're desensitizing our populace to these gateway drugs, and then that leads to bigger and better things that's going to end up getting them killed, in my opinion. Well, and a lot of this stuff, Kelly, is a lot of it's because this crazy stuff, the shootings and stuff like this trans terrorist shit we're seeing now. A lot of this because we no longer have insane asylums. So we can't deal with these people.
Yep. Make insane asylums great again.
That's what I say. All right. One more. Go ahead.
Or public caning, one or the other. I saw a video on that today. They showed a guy over in Singapore getting caned. That'll to me. I mean, that would cure me.
It doesn't matter. In New York City, you're going to see public stoning before too long. We're going to see. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not even going to talk about New York City. F them.
Yeah.
But let's talk about one other tidbit of news because we're talking about. I'm so hung up on these liberal news stations talking about a genocide in Gaza, when they're completely forgetting the fact that October 7th happened, a true attempt to genocide the Jewish people, right? The AP finally came out and said what we all already knew about these innocent civilians in Gaza that have been killed. So let's see what the AP actually has to say about the real numbers, Russ.
As far as I know, I was the first staffer to erase information from a story because we were threatened by Hamas, which happened at the very end of 2008. We had a great reporter in Gaza, a Palestinian, who had always been really an excellent reporter. We had a detail in a story. The detail was a crucial one. It was that Hamas fighters were dressed as civilians and were being counted as civilians in the death toll. An important thing to know, that went out in an AP story. The reporter called me a few hours later. It was clear that someone had spoken to him. And he told me, I was on the desk in Jerusalem, so I was kind of writing the story from the main bureau in Jerusalem. And he said, Mati, you have to take that detail out of the story. And it was clear that someone had threatened him. I took the detail out of the story. I suggested to our editors that we note in an editor's note that we were now complying with Hamas censorship. I was overruled. And from that point in time, the AP, like all of its sister organizations, collaborates with Hamas censorship in Gaza. What does that mean? You'll see a lot of dead civilians and you won't see dead militants. You won't have a clear idea of what the Hamas military strategy is. And this is the kicker, the center of the coverage will be a number, a casualty number that is provided to the press by something called the Gaza Health Ministry, which is Hamas. And we've been doing that since 2008. And it's a way of basically settling the story before you get into any other information. Because when you put, when you say 50 Palestinians were killed and 1 Israeli on a given day, it doesn't matter what else you say. The numbers kind of tell their own story, and it's a way of kind of settling the story with something that sounds like a concrete statistic. And the statistic is being, given to us by one of the combatant sides. But because the reporters sympathize with that side, they're happy to play along. So since 2008, certainly since 2014, when we had another serious war in Gaza, the press has not been covering in Gaza. The press has been essentially an amplifier for one of the most poisonous ideologies on earth. Hamas has figured out how to make the press amplify its messaging rather than covering Hamas. There are no Western reporters in Gaza. All of the reporters in Gaza are Palestinians, and those people fall into three categories. Some of them identify with Hamas, some of them are intimidated by Hamas and won't cross Hamas, which makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to cross Hamas either. And the third category is people who actually belong to Hamas.
Yep, you're right, Egghead. All of it could be, but that's also like saying that liberal policies are what American policies are if Joe Biden were to be elected again or something like that. But what the stickler is here, Egghead, and I agree with you. The stickler is here. I'm going to say this gently. I remember 9/11. I remember 9/11 immediately, and I've showed this clip. Immediately after the towers fell, they went into Gaza, and I seen man, woman, and child cheering. After October 7th, man, woman, and child were caught on film escorting Jewish hostages into terror tunnels. Okay, so you ask me who's innocent in Gaza? It's an ideology that's brought from birth until terrorism, until they're able to blow themselves up or kill Jews. There's no innocence in Gaza. There's no innocence in Gaza. That this is you have to snuff out the ideology, and unfortunately, there's only one way to do that. I'm not going to say it on social media. There's only one way to do that, and it's not with social programs, unfortunately. So that's all I'm saying there about that. Before I get banned from the world. Press can't report from Gaza. How many journalists? You're right. You're right. How many journalists, Egghead, have been killed in Gaza and blamed that the Israelis killed them for reporting? That's not the case. Look what happened when the ceasefire came into effect. What's the first thing Hamas did? They came into Gaza and they executed people who they thought were their political enemies or had sided with the Jews. Right? This is Hamas. Not only is this Hamas, this is Islam. Read the Quran. This is Islam. There's no moderate Muslim, guys. I hate to tell you this. There's no moderate Muslims. And I know, Russ, I get it. And I see you rolling your eyes at me because I'm going off on a tangent. I understand. But once they have the numbers, they're all radical.
Yeah. And, Egghead posted no innocence, so the law of armed conflict of distinction isn't a thing anymore. I think it is, but only for the people that want to follow it. Egghead, I think only for the ones that want to follow it. But, Hamas obviously doesn't want to follow it. It is what it is.
Yeah, so I'll put that up. So law of armed conflict. Yeah, and I get it. Egghead. I understand where you're coming from and your background and why you're saying that. But the fact of the matter is if both sides are applying that law of armed conflict, then 100%, yes, we shouldn't. We shouldn't shoot paratroopers when they're gliding down on the parachute. I understand that. But what happened in October 7th and the days preceding that and the days before that, how do you stop that? How do you stop that? There's only one way to stop that, and there's only one way to stop an ideology. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, oh boy, that got me
fired up tonight, man.
Got me a little bit on my soapbox a little bit. There was one pinned comment, and it goes back to fentanyl. Our resident nurse, Larry, says, what people don't get is fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. It is more potent than morphine. It's more potent than heroin, right? And we could go back and dive into why so many people are taking heroin. It goes back to the opioid addiction because doctors were running pill mills and just giving out everybody opiates because they had a strained back, and then they ended up getting them hooked on it. And then what happened is they started cracking down on these pill mills, so people only had a choice now because they were addicted to go to heroin. So on top of that, now you add the fentanyl problem with that's 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine and more potent than heroin. And it's a recipe for disaster, a recipe that finally someone is starting to realize Trump is actually stopping the precursors. Well, supposedly, look, you can't trust China, supposedly stopping the precursors for making this synthetic opioid from China. We'll see what actually happens. It's big money, so I don't think China's willing to give that up.
No, because China themselves, they're going bankrupt. They have a lot of flooding going on over there. They had to release a dam, and they just released it and said, screw the people that are down below it. It's just amazing the stuff that people in other countries are doing to their own people.
Yeah, and we're just blessed to be living here for now.
Oh yeah.
I'm just reading chat. What happens if I do this? Who cares? Everybody's on Kick anyway, so it doesn't matter. They can read their own chat. Very good, Russ. I'm gonna let you take us out, and then I'll hit us with a couple of tidbits. Oh well, before we do that, let's talk about prep of the week.
Oh yeah, prep of the week.
Yeah, I always forget the prep of the week, and I did a hell of a lot of prepping this week. Russ, were you able to get something? I know you had a lot of work to do around the house. Were you able to get any prepping done?
I'm prepping to put a new floor in my kitchen. But I did, I guess you could call it prep. I went and got my deer stands open yesterday and hopefully putting some venison in the freezer. We're planning on doing some freeze drying of it this year to take with us up to Wisconsin. Did a little bit of research on a mobile freezer that I can put in my truck to take with me up there because, I put 5 deer in the freezer last year and I didn't eat a quarter of that. No, I didn't eat a quarter of one of the deer before, but it's all gone. Courtesy of my son, but it is what it is.
Well,
Rev,
that's
you're
why
a day late and a dollar short, Rev. We're closing up shop.
That's why we prepare though to feed our families and stuff like that. Right?
Absolutely. And he and I have had that discussion, and I told him, I said, I will be more than willing to put venison in the freezer, but you need to pay for it this time.
Right. Tom, this is a horrible idea because you only bought one of them. So we already know we already know you're a 2-time Tom. So you might as well just buy another one and get it over with.
But I will say, Tom did not buy any knives at CanCon. Even though there was a blade show there, he did not buy any knives.
What if Gahagan would have been there?
Well, that would be why you didn't buy any knives. Exactly. Tom, I'm not gonna say what you bought or what you have ordered on here, but he does have a couple of nice things ordered.
He definitely does. Guy along with me took some extra food stuff to the area of our AO or our MAG location. So that was good. I ended up putting together at least 4 big bins of freeze dried food. I bought that Vever vacuum chamber deal, which is a game changer for me. That thing is badass.
Man, I saw the video you posted, man. That thing's slick.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens. Skidmore says his prep of the week is
that's health.
That's
health.
If you don't have health, you're no sense in prep.
And I've been doing a lot of that this week, catching up on all my doctor visits and labs and everything else that I missed being gone for over 5 months. But they all knew I was going, and they were like, just do your labs and stuff when you get back, schedule an appointment. So getting them all scheduled, got them scheduled out for April. So I'll be good for another 6 months after I get back. Let's see here.
Larry Dow says he went and bought Joe Dolio's Tactical Wisdom books. Great books. They are chock full of information. I agree. Richard Bailey. Richard, I think we talked at CanCon, I think. If you're the same Richard Bailey, we had talked. He bought an Expedition Kukri. What else do we got here? Let's see. Whoops. Nope, that's an emoji from Eden Army. Let's see.
I started him.
I gotcha. Thank you. Will says he's prepping to move out of a condo. The RV will be here next month. Good. He'll have his own place. Once you settle in, go ahead and build you a little shed so you can start prepping some food. Let's see. Patrick 7, following the proper protocol. #prep. I don't need to tell him. Winterizing. Yeah, guys. And that's the other thing we need to consider. Now, your bug out bags, your get home bags, it's wintertime now. Take those summer clothes out. Put winter stuff back in. That's something you should
Absolutely.
do.
You
Let's
know,
see.
and while you have your bag out, check your batteries and everything. You know, check the expiration date on what foodstuffs you have in there. You know, give it a once over.
Yeah.
Um,
Rev, best
and
prep you could possibly do right here, my brother. Love you.
absolutely.
Pat,
What else?
we didn't talk about the CME, this G5 CME that everybody was freaking out. So the solar flare, right? Did anybody do anything? Were they worried? Were they concerned about this? I know I didn't. I could
No.
give a shit about it other than sit outside and look at the northern lights in Central Florida. But did anybody
Well,
do
and
anything? Did you take any extra precautions, Russ?
no, I really didn't. You know, they're saying that, you know, there's two of them basically coming. They had the CME. There's one coming this way, and there's one right behind it. Look, and the one behind it is actually moving faster than the one that's in front of it. They might merge, and they called it a. They mentioned it last night, a carnivore or something like that. Basically, one's going to eat the other and get a little bigger. So what is still coming? It just hasn't quite gotten here yet, from what I understand.
I actually had a video on that. It was a couple days ago. Let me, guys, just bear with me real quick. I got to do some. Well, maybe I can do it over here. Let me check. Let's see if we got an extra.
Yeah.
We don't have an extra clip.
Cannibal flare. That's it, Rev.
Let me.
Oh, Bullshite's saying most of the ham bands were dead.
Oh, so there you go. That's good to know.
Jay says he wears tinfoil hat.
Well, he always does that. There ain't no doubt
Well,
about
we knew
that.
this. Some cell interference, according to Will. Larry says he keeps his comm stuff and generators interfere.
Sorry about that.
If you guys are interested in Faraday bags and stuff like that, look up West Hightower on his Rally Point ISO. I think it is. I don't have his card with me.
Rally Point ST, I think.
No, they changed that.
Homemade sauerkraut. That was good sauerkraut. Guys, you're gonna see. Let me do something real quick. I'm gonna run that CME video, but there's gonna be a little bit of interference because I gotta tag it on another video, Russ. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
As far as I know, I was the first staffer to erase information from the story because we were threatened by Hamas, which happened at the very end of 2008. We had a great reporter in Gaza,
Good morning,
Palestinian.
folks. We have already been live this morning because what we discussed in last night's live show has happened. On the heels of these, two X-class flare-driven CMEs heading for Earth expected to impact within 12 to 18 hours, yet another X-class solar flare, a bigger one, X5, and a Titanic CME event has erupted. Let's see it here. Wow. Enormous. Look how broadly the eruption impacts the solar corona, and that is the single most telling sign of a big eruption, and the release of a shockwave. This sunspot is still very potent, and if we get any more of these today, I'm going to start to get worried. Right now, as it stands, if there are south-facing magnetic fields to the shockwave, this could reach G5 levels like May of last year. Lot needs to line up for that to happen, but it is in play with this event. Full halo CME on its way to Earth. I think that over the next 72 hours, we're extremely likely to get G3 storms. I forecast we will see a KP8 G4 storm, and if the magnetism is right, full G5 KP9. Low latitude auroras, lots of electrical issues. By the way, the highest energy protons are even surging on this morning's flare, and that's weeks worth of solar proton energy entering Earth here in the last 90 minutes. Eyes open, mine are. Hopefully no more big flares. Enlil updates coming later today if necessary. Eyes open, no fear.
There you go. So that's the information. Now that was a couple days ago. That G5's already made it to us. I don't know if it was a G5, might have been a G4, but from what I understand, looked like just some ham bands are out. No electrical issues that I've heard. So
yeah, nothing that I've noticed here. I mean, my cell service sucks here anyway. Opie says his prep of the week was he got some tasty Woodford double oak. And
yes, that's a great prep.
A very great prep.
Some good info from Patrick here. If you're not, guys, Faraday bags. And he says, your mom, if you're not doing that, your mom probably ate Tylenol when she was pregnant. So
Anything else? It says there was some interference on the industrial side of things, but nothing too big.
Yeah. So I think there's other levels other than G5. I think you can get into like the X's and this and that. I was listening to Joe Niedermayer's book, and it had to do with polar shifts. But unfortunately, there was a CME. Guys, if you haven't read or listened to Joe's book, by far the best book he's ever put out. It's a single book, no series.
#1 bestseller.
Friggin' fabulous. Friggin' fabulous. Good job, Mr. Niedermayer. Let's see here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm reading through chat. Double Faraday bags. Will said he bought some Faraday bags from Wes. Outstanding. And then if you guys take his class, I'll make sure I'm sure he'll bring all that stuff too. So again, that's in February. All right, Russ, do your thing, brother.
Well, guys, it's great to be back at home. I got great internet. I don't think I froze up at all tonight for once in the last 6 months. It's been pretty great. Can't stress community enough, guys, and get training. Get whatever training you can get. I don't care if you go and get a first aid training from the American Red Cross. It's training. And train with your bug out bags. Look through your bug out bags. It's going to get worse before it gets worse. And as always, guys, remember, this better be somebody's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea. That's all I got, Pete.
Outstanding. Yeah, look, we try to give you training courses, guys. There's no reason why you can't take a firearms course, can't take a first aid course. If you're part of a mutual assistance group, bring us in. We will teach these things. We love doing it. We're definitely doing that with our group. We're doing a TCCC type of class coming up at our next FTX. We're constantly doing firearms training because the guy that runs the group is a psychopath and he thinks all there is firearms. But I'm reeling him in a little bit. So and to add on what Russ was saying about your bug out bags, put them on and walk. We're definitely doing the walk this year. That's happening. We're definitely going to do our 6 miles in to Hidden Pond and 6 miles back. So if you want to join that, by all means, put your bug out bag on. Let's walk. Let's live out of your bag for 3 days and see how you do. I know it was an eye opener for a lot of people that went last year, and we're going to do it again, right? So, guys, there's no reason why you can't train. We're giving you the opportunities to do it. Yes, is it expensive? Yes, I get it. I understand. Wes's class are expensive, a 3-day class, but if you boil it down to 3 days, it's not that bad. But they're available to you. Go do it. And remember, always be safe, guys. Can't be safe, be dangerous. Thanks for watching the Eden Army podcast. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And